but I also am going to share my screen with you. So it's going to be a little bit awkward, so you won't necessarily see our two faces all the time. You'll have to hear us, but I also want you to see the materials that we use when we're doing this. I said I was going to do that. And where's that? Oh, it is up. Okay, good. On my options, I'm not seeing it though. Let's see. What happens when I do this? Nope, that's only, oh yeah, it's over here. Okay, can you see the buyer questionnaire? Is that what's up?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll go ahead and move ahead. Hey, good morning, Buff. Thank you so much for coming in to meet with me today.
Thanks. Happy to do it.
Awesome. Well, I just want to take a few minutes. I know we want to go out and you're excited about going out and looking at homes. I just want to take a few minutes to meet with you, talk about the home buying process, learn a little bit more about you and exactly what you're looking for, what your timeline is. And then we can do a really great job of finding you the right home so we don't waste a lot of time. We can get out there and find the home that you're looking for. Does that sound good?
Great. I'm
Great.
excited.
Awesome. Well, I've got some questions for you here, and thank you for already providing your name and contact information for me. So I've got all that information. So the first thing, Buff, is I really just want to know, why are you moving? What are your plans?
We just kind of feel like we want to get into something a little bit bigger than what we have. We're starting to feel a little bit cramped and just want some more space.
Okay. Well, that sounds great, Buff. So you're wanting more space. Are you in a home now? Do you own a home? Are you in an apartment?
We're in a house. We're in a small 2-bedroom house, and we want something a little bit bigger.
Oh, okay, great. So what are you looking for?
Well, I'd really like to have probably 4 bedrooms. We only have 2 right now, and it's getting kind of cramped.
Okay.
So I'd say maybe 4 bedrooms.
4 bedrooms.
2 or 3, maybe ideally even 3 baths.
Okay.
We're in a really old house right now, so I'd rather have something kind of a little bit newer. It doesn't have to be a brand new house, but I don't want anything older than like 8 or 10 years.
Okay, newer age, 10 years old. That sounds good. Thank you. And what else is important about the house that you're looking to own? What other features are you looking for? Areas?
I'd love to have a pool. That's
a pool.
My big thing is a pool. Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. And what areas are you looking in, Buff?
Probably Riverview would be the most convenient for us.
Okay, in the Riverview area. And how much are you looking to spend on your new home?
Really like to stay under 240. I mean, might be able to stretch to 250, but I'd really rather not.
Okay, you'd like to stay under 240 or less.
Lower.
Okay, perfect. Is there anything else about the house itself that you're looking for?
No, I'm really just wanting something newer than what we have, a little bigger, and I desperately want a pool. So that kind of summarizes it.
Okay. When you say bigger, what does that mean to you?
Well,
you have a square footage in mind?
I'm sorry?
You have a square footage in mind, a size?
Yeah, I'd like to see like 2,500, maybe 2,500 square feet.
You'd like to see 2,500 square feet?
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. And do you prefer a 1-story or a 2-story? Does that matter?
Doesn't really matter.
Okay, no preference on that. Great. Now, what about anything else? Any other features? The yard, the type of neighborhood, any amenities that you're looking for?
Oh, sure. I'd love to be in
the actual physical home itself.
I'd love to be in a great family neighborhood with lots of amenities. We have 2 children, and they would, really enjoy being able. Like, it's one of the reasons why we want the pool. But I know they'd enjoy playgrounds and other amenities that a lot of the neighborhoods have, and we don't have that right now. So I'd say a nice family neighborhood.
Okay, great. That sounds awesome. And Buff, what timeline are we looking at here?
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start looking.
Okay. All right. So you're looking now. That's awesome. Super. But I just have a few more questions for you. Have you talked to a mortgage lender yet to determine your purchasing power?
Nope. I figured we'd just start looking, and I didn't really want to go into all the trouble of talking to anybody about a mortgage until we had a house in mind.
Okay, I understand. And Buff, do you have a home to sell, the one that you're in now? Do you need to sell that in order to purchase this new home?
Oh yeah, we would have to sell this house first.
Okay, so you've got to sell this house first. Okay, and where's your home located?
We're in Riverview.
Oh, you're already in Riverview. Okay,
Yep,
great.
just
And
wanna
have you already
stay.
listed your home for sale?
Nope.
No, awesome. Well, we can certainly help you with that. Great. Well, thank you. I appreciate all that information. And Buff, I just got one more question before we move on to the next piece of the consultation where we're going to talk about what the home buying process looks like. Buff, how did you hear about me?
Well, my sister-in-law knew somebody who went to church with you.
Oh, great.
So they
So
referred
do you
me.
happen to know who that is?
I have no idea. I can ask my sister-in-law the name,
Oh,
but
that'd be
I
awesome.
was her.
Yeah, please do. I'd really like to, appreciate and thank the people who send referrals my way. So,
Okay, sure.
okay, my sister's friend. Okay, perfect. I'll just put that down for now. And that really helps me because like I said, I like to express my gratitude and let them know how much I appreciate the referrals because that's really the lifeblood of our business is getting referrals from great people, that send us new customers like you. So thanks very much for that.
Sure.
I appreciate it. So Buff, I'm gonna switch over here for just a moment and show you our, whoops, I'm not gonna show you that. I'm gonna share my screen and I'm going to show you, I'm gonna go back to that. Our buyer consultation here. And I'm going to let you take this with you when you leave. So don't worry about having to understand all of it right now or know everything. If you've got questions, I'm happy to answer them. I just wanted to hit on some highlights. And so you own the house you're in now. You said, is that the only home you've ever owned or have you owned other properties before?
That's it. It's our first house we ever bought.
Okay. And how long have you owned it?
We've been here probably about 10 years.
Okay, about 10 years. So it's been a while since you've purchased a home.
Yep.
Okay, great. So knowing that, I am going to spend a little bit more time on this, especially on the front end, to help you go over the home buying process. It may be things that you just don't remember from the first time, or maybe, some things have changed in 10 years in the way that we purchase homes. So if you will just indulge me for a moment, I'll go through kind of the step-by-step process. Is that okay?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I don't really remember much of what we did 10 years ago, so that'll be good.
Okay, good. So the first step is representation. You're going to select an agent to guide you through the home buying process. And that's what we're doing right now. We're going to, we're going to work together to help make this a great, smooth transaction for you. Step 2 is getting a pre-approval from a mortgage lender because you want to confirm your purchasing power, of course, and then a buyer consultation. And as you can see, we're doing that right now. We're going to analyze your needs. We're going to learn about the home buying process. And as you can see, the pre-approval process really should come before the buyer consultation. So what I'd like to do you have a mortgage lender in mind that you were thinking of using?
No, I don't know anybody, and I don't even know who it was we worked with when we bought this house.
I would love to recommend some great lenders to you.
Okay.
I'll give you a few names and you can contact them and see which one you feel like you'll be able to work with best. They're all great. Sometimes you feel more of a rapport with one of than another, or they may be able to do loans for special types of products, and we'll kind of dive into that a little bit more about what may be applicable to your scenario with which type of loan you're going to get, if there's any special issues there that they'll need to address. Does that sound good?
Okay. Sure.
Great. So I will get that information to you when we're done meeting today so that you can get a hold of them right away. Another reason that you want to go ahead and do that now is that when you do find a home, and if we do a great job, we're going to find a home very quickly for you. When we find that home, you're going to want to make an offer right away. It's a very competitive market right now. It's actually a seller's market in your price point. So we're going to want to be able to really compete with other offers that are coming in, and having a strong pre-approval letter when you make that offer will make all the difference in the world.
Okay, if I have to do it, I really wouldn't want him to go through all that hassle yet, but
I know, I'm sure you don't. It is kind of a hassle, but wouldn't you rather do it now than maybe miss out on a house that you really want because it wasn't taken care of before?
that makes sense.
Yeah. Good, thanks. All right, so after our consultation today, then we're going to start looking at properties. We're going to select properties. I have access to the multiple listing service, and that's where all of the agents list the homes. We can show you homes from any company. We all were cooperative brokers. So back in the day, not probably when you look 10 years ago, but not so long before that, there was a time when brokers didn't cooperate. And if you wanted to see a listing from Keller Williams, you'd have to go to a Keller Williams agent to see it. If you wanted to see a listing from ABC Realty, you'd have to go to ABC Realty. So now we're all cooperative, so don't worry about that. Any home that's listed on Zillow that you see or come across, Realtor.com, any of those, we're going to have access to and be able to get you in to see them. So you'll just call me whenever you need, whenever you see something that comes up, and whenever I see something that comes, I'm going to also be in touch with you, and we're going to schedule those showings.
Okay.
Then we'll go, of course, after we schedule the showings, we'll go view them. One step that's really important here is to remember that sometimes sellers have requirements on notice before seeing a home. So it's a great idea if we can kind of group them together. So if you know that you've got 4 or 5 you want to see, we could set up a time, go see them all, together. And if we have 24-hour notice, that's ideal, because sometimes that's what the sellers require. And I'd hate for you to miss out on something because, maybe you saw something and it came up and you wanted to go see it right away and they wouldn't let us in until the next day. So if we can get 24 hours notice, that is really helpful. Once we see these homes, you're going to find the one that's right. And if we do a great job in the initial search, then it won't take very long. We won't have to look at too many and waste your time. And you're going to make an offer on a property. I will help, of course, with that. I'm going to fill out the paperwork for you, but we're going to talk about the terms. And there are a lot of terms in a contract. I just want to make sure that you understand all of them. And so we'll make that offer. And when that happens, the seller hopefully will accept it if we make a strong offer. But there's always the potential that they may reject the offer or make a counter offer. And we're going to be prepared for all of those possibilities. But going in with a strong offer up front generally will, make it a better scenario for the seller accepting it right away. We'll negotiate the terms of the offer. And then when we come to an agreement between you and the seller, then of course you'll accept the contract, they'll accept the contract, it'll be executed, and we'll be on to the next stage, which, do you ever watch HGTV, Buff? Those
all the time.
Real estate shows, they kind of show the agent showing the customer 3 houses, the customer picks one, they make an offer, then they sit at the tiki bar drinking umbrella drinks until they get the results from their offer. Well, it actually takes a lot longer than what they're showing on TV. Of course, they've got to condense it into a 30-minute or 60-minute program. Take out commercials, it's even less than that. So they will be sitting there waiting on the offer, and then all of a sudden they flash forward to the customers moved in and everything's beautifully decorated, and they act like it happens in 2 or 3 weeks. Well, of course, that doesn't actually work that way because it's TV. There's a process, a transaction management or contract to close process that we go through that actually takes generally 4 to 6 weeks in order to get the property closed. And there's a lot of steps along the way. We're going to be removing contingencies. So you'll do a home inspection and possibly some other inspections depending on the property to make sure that you understand the condition and that it's acceptable to you. There may be some negotiations for repairs. You'll be working on your loan application and loan approval during this period, and the lender will order an appraisal. And that appraisal will help to determine what the value is. And as long as that all goes smoothly, we'll move forward to the next step. At the same time, the title company is doing a title search. They're making sure that you get clear title to the property. And they're ordering some things like the estoppel, or it's basically an accounting letter from the homeowners association, if there is one. They're getting the mortgage payoff for the seller, doing lien searches, title searches. So there's a lot going on in the background. You don't have to worry about most of it. You will just have to be really diligent about working with your lender to get your documentation in and ask about, whenever you're asked for information, to make sure to supply that to them in a timely manner, because any delays on responding is going to delay your loan. And that's also a contingency in the contract, is that you get that loan approval within a certain period of time, typically 30 days.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I know it sounds kind of rough, and it is, and it's just part of the process when you're getting a mortgage. So the more you can work with that lender cooperatively, the smoother it'll all go. And I'm just going to tell you right now up front, it's not an easy process anymore. And since the last time you bought a home, we went sort of through the market crash, and you know the lending environment is much more stringent now than it was. And so you probably will feel like, my goodness, didn't I just give you that document? Just give it to them again. I just setting a little expectation up front, just be prepared, hand over, just keep handing over the documents. Every time you get a new bank statement, a new pay stub, whatever, just have that handy because they're going to be asking for it. Okay?
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, after all of those contingencies are cleared, and your loan is approved and there's a title commitment showing there's clear title to the property, then you're going to bring the funds to closing, and those funds are going to be your down payment and your closing costs. And so you're going to work closely with your lender to determine exactly what that amount is going to be. You're going to wire your funds to the title company. Your lender is going to wire their funds to the title company, and then you'll do your closing. And you know, we typically, maybe when you did your closing before, do you remember if you were sitting around the closing table with the sellers when you were buying that property?
Definitely, I remember that.
Yeah, well, that was kind of fun because you get to do the handing over of the keys and everybody shakes hands and congratulates everybody. We really don't do that so much anymore. Most of the time, the buyers are closing separately from the sellers. And quite often now we're doing virtual closings or remote closings. So you may not even go to the title company at all. But again, that's something that we work on in the background. It's really my job as we work through this process is being sort of a project manager to make sure that we get through all these steps smoothly. Sound good?
That's fine.
Awesome. Well, we get to that closing, get it closed. Before closing, of course, you're going to put the utilities in your name. The day of closing, you own the property. You'll get the keys and be able to move in. Sound good?
Great. Sounds great.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to go through this process with you, Buff. I have a few more things I want to chat about just as we go through. And again, some of this you'll be able to look at later, so I won't spend a lot of time on. I just want you to be aware that, you know, you're here with us at Keller Williams. We've got great technology. We've got a consumer search app that you can use on your phone, on your mobile devices, on your computer that will help you to locate properties and get local insights. We have a referral network from all over the country, and we're actually the largest company in the world now, real estate company. So we've got resources all over. But hey, you've been looking for some homes already? Probably. Have you been looking online at any of the websites?
A little bit. No, I haven't spent a whole lot of time on it. Once I started looking at houses and seeing things I liked, I just decided I'm ready to go and I want to start looking for real.
Okay, great. So I know some people look at Realtor.com or Zillow or some of those sites. I just be aware, nothing wrong with taking a peek at those, of course, if you find you have your favorite. Those websites are not always up to date. So what I would suggest is if you are looking, look on my website. I'm going to send you the link for that, or use my app that I'm going to send you if you prefer to do it on the phone. If you're looking at some of these other sites as well, cross-reference it with my site because it's coming directly from the multiple listing service. And so it will always be accurate and up to date.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
Some special considerations when buying a home in Florida. Since you already own a home in Florida, you probably are aware of all these, but I will touch on a couple of them that I think could be really important to you. Property taxes. So those could vary from owner to owner depending on how long they've lived in the home. So you may want to be aware of that. When you see a property that's listed for sale, it might look like it has really low taxes, but that might be just for that specific owner. There are homestead exemptions. There's some other exemptions for age, for disabled, veterans. Also, we have the Save Our Homes Act, which caps the amount of increase in the taxable value of a property at 3% a year for homesteaded property, which means you've been in your home for about 10 years, you said. Your taxes are artificially low. They're capped. So when somebody buys your home, unless they're coming also from Florida, then you will, they'll see their taxes go up. And when you purchase another home, you may see the same thing. Now, you're going to have an advantage because you have lived here for 10 years. That savings that you have on your current home on the property taxes, you'll be able to port that over. It's called portability. You'll port that over to the new property and to get additional savings. So when that time comes, we're going to remind you, of course, to file for your homestead exemption. You're going to file for portability as well.
Okay.
Homeowners insurance, pardon me?
Did not know that. Thanks for telling me.
Well, great. You're quite welcome. Homeowners insurance and flood insurance. Of course, you know that in Florida, they're a little higher than they are in some other areas because we have hurricanes. And flood insurance is required because you're getting a mortgage. If you are in a flood zone, you will be required to carry flood insurance. You may choose, if you're not in a flooded zone, to carry it anyway. It's not very expensive when you're not, and I say not in a flood zone. Actually, every property in Florida is in a flood zone. When we say not in a flood zone, we're generally talking about flood zone X, which is the lowest risk. Anywhere can flood, right? But that is the lowest risk is X. And that generally you're not required to carry the flood insurance if you're in an X flood zone. A community development district, you talked about having some amenities in your community and you're looking for a newer home. And you may end up finding a home that has a CDD or a community development district. Are you familiar with that?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, great. So some of our newer communities use that. The developer will borrow money, basically bond money from the county, and to complete the infrastructure and the amenities and sometimes even the maintenance on the amenities in a community. And that fee gets passed on to each lot, each homeowner in the community. And they generally run for 20 or 30 years. And it's just a prorated amount. So it's going to cause an increase in the property taxes and the non-ad valorem part of the property taxes, but it does pay for those amenities and it keeps the prices of the homes down so they don't have to, in the past, they would have maybe added that cost onto the initial home price, but in an effort to keep those prices a little lower, then they just spread that fee out over, like I said, 20 to 30 years. So you may see a CDD on some of the communities. Homeowners associations and deed restrictions. So these are actually not the same thing. However, people tend to look at them kind of the same. Deed restrictions are actually on the actual deed to the property itself and places a restriction on what you can do on a certain property. Homeowners associations also have restrictions. There's usually generally fees that are involved with the homeowners association, and those will be disclosed, of course, by the seller. The homeowners association will have their own rules and regulations that if you buy a home in their association, you will be required to have membership and to follow their rules and regulations. School districts, your kids, do you think you could end up in the same schools? You said your children, you've got 2 children. What ages are they?
They're 4 and 6.
Oh, so okay, great. So 4-year-old is not in school yet, can I assume,
No.
or maybe preschool? Okay, and then the 6-year-old's in. So you could stay in the same school. It's possible you'll move to a different one. You know, Hillsborough County, and especially this area, is growing very rapidly. And so our school boundaries will change over time. You may have even experienced that in your own neighborhood now, that, 1 year a child may be assigned to one school, the next year the boundary may be redrawn or a new school may be built, and then they could be reassigned to another school based on the location of the property. So just be aware that over time that can happen. Your very best resource for knowing what schools a specific property is assigned to, a specific home or address is assigned to, is to go directly to the school district. And since you're here in Hillsborough County, you can just Google it. It's super easy, Hillsborough County School District or Hillsborough County School Locator, and it'll pop up a great little tool where you just type in the address and it tells you which schools that the property is assigned to. Okay? Awesome. Well, let me just tell you a little bit about what we can help you with. And I mentioned that before. So I can help you to find homes that are listed in the multiple listing service by any real estate brokerage in our area. I can also help you with for sale by owner properties. You may see a sign out where somebody's selling their home their own. We find that most people that are selling their home or marketing their home on their own actually are willing to work with buyers agents who bring them qualified buyers. And that can be very helpful to you because many times they don't really know anything about selling real estate. And it's great if you decide that that is the home that you'd like to look at and maybe even purchase, that you've got that representation to help you through that. New construction. Have you thought about a new home, Buff?
A little bit, but I'm open.
Okay. Well, there are some great deals right now, actually, on new construction. So if you're open to it, we may look at some of those if we find that they fit your criteria and your price range. New construction homes are obviously being sold by the builder, and they have their representatives that work there in their models, and they're very knowledgeable about their products. Just keep in mind that they are trying to sell you their product only. Whereas my goal is to help you find the home you want. It may be new construction, it might be a resale, it could be a for sale by owner. And it doesn't really matter to me where that is. It's, whatever works best for you and your family. So I can help you with new construction. The builders, pay us a commission to do that. And then you're entitled to that representation throughout the transaction.
Wouldn't I get a better deal though if I just if the builder's going to pay you, what if I find one on my own? And I wouldn't, they'd probably kind of give me a little bit of that.
Right. Well, you know what? That's a really great question. I'm glad you asked it. So I know, and you might think that if they didn't have to pay me a commission, that they would be willing to give you some kind of discount on the price. The problem with that is that if they give you a discount, then and sell you a home, then the next property that comes along, when the appraiser comes to do the appraisal, they're going to use the house you bought at a discount, and that's going to cause the value of the next house to be discounted. The builders don't want that, right? They want all their homes to appraise for the sale prices. So they actually, most of them have the realtor commissions already built into their marketing budget rather than directly into the price of the home. So no, in most cases, that you will not get a discount by not bringing a realtor to represent you. And, we work with these builders all the time and are very familiar with their programs and products. And so sometimes we know about special deals that they're offering that they're not advertising to the public, or we have built rapport with them and had experience working with them so that we know that what we can kind of push on to get them, because a lot of times, right now, because it is more of a seller's market, they're not as flexible on their pricing, but they may be flexible on some other options. So we, have worked with them, on a regular basis and have experience in that, may be able to get them to give you a better deal that way.
Didn't know that. Okay.
Awesome. So short sales and foreclosures. Now, we don't see too many of these right now, but there are still some out there. Just want to let you know that if you decide that's what you want to do, I can help you with a short sale or a foreclosure. Short sales, you said you need to move right away. Is that correct?
I'd like to. I don't have to, but that's what I'm looking at.
Well, I find that short sales are generally better for buyers who may have some time, are not in a hurry to move, no set timeline, because they generally take anywhere from probably 3 to 6 months and sometimes longer to negotiate and get closed. Also, in the end, they may not close, that the seller's lender may not approve that sale because they're asking the lender to take less than what they owe. And if the seller doesn't approve that, the seller's lender doesn't approve that, then they may just decline the short sale or reject it. And then you'd have to start all over again. And I think there's so many other options out there for you that probably will not be the best fit for your specific situation. Okay. Foreclosure properties, these are properties that are owned by the lenders, by the banks. They've already foreclosed on the property. They have taken ownership and title back. Their processes are a little different than standard, but generally the timeline is about the same. So if you do find a foreclosure property, then we can definitely help you to buy that. The one thing you want to keep in mind is it may have been vacant for a long time. And most probably it's got a lot of deferred maintenance. And so there may be some issues that come up later, kind of like, have you ever maybe either had a car or bicycle? Have you ever had a bicycle that you left in the garage for 5 years and didn't ride? And then you go to take it out to see if Maybe that doesn't happen to you. It's happened to me. And the tires are flat. And even if you pump them up, they're dry rotted and things don't work as well. And the brakes are squeaky and it needs to, needs a tune up, needs to be lubricated. The same thing happens with the house when it's not used, with the systems in the house, the AC, the plumbing, so there could be some kind of latent or hidden issues that you may not know about until after you get into the property, and things may start to show up later. So just keep that in mind. That's why they're usually a better deal than maybe buying a typical resale home. All right, I'm going to talk about 10 things to avoid before closing. And this is because you are getting a mortgage, right? So it's going to sound a little bit funny, but Buff, really, this will help avoid a lot of problems moving forward. Do not change jobs, become self-employed, or quit your job. Do not buy a truck, car, or van, or you may be living in it. Do not use charge cards excessively or let your accounts fall behind. Do not spend money you have set aside for closing. Do not omit debts or liabilities from your loan application. Believe you me, in this day and age, they will find out about them. Do not buy furniture. Do not originate any inquiries into your credit. Do not make large deposits without checking with your loan officer. Do not change your bank accounts. Do not co-sign a loan for anyone. In other words, after you make your loan application, don't make any changes. Don't go make any large purchases, and definitely don't make any inquiries into your credit. Now, your lender will probably go through these things with you too, but I've seen every one of these at some time or another make a deal go sideways and a buyer lost out on the home of their dreams because they maybe didn't pay attention to one of these. It makes sense to you?
It does.
You think you can follow them?
I'll try.
Awesome. I know you can. That's awesome.
More in depth than what I thought, but I'm glad you
It is, right? Well, that's why I really wanted to have this consultation, because, on HGTV, it looks easy to go buy a house, and really there's a lot more to it. And that's what I'm here for, is to help you to get through the transaction, to make it all work smoothly. And I just really want to set the expectations up front so we can make that happen. What to expect at closing. So we kind of talked about this before, but that's the end of the transaction, right? And in Florida, the buyer takes possession of the property the day of closing. So in some states, you've been in Florida for a while, but there are some states where the seller stays in the property after closing to have time to move and all that. And in Florida, we have that transition happen the day of closing. You're going to initiate your utilities before the closing date to make sure that you've got your power and water and gas on the day you move in. You're going to do a wire transfer of your funds to close. We mentioned that earlier. And then bring to closing, you want to make sure you have your social security number, your photo IDs. Some title companies require 2 IDs, so keep that in mind. They'll let you know for sure. They will coordinate that with you. And you want to make sure your insurance is bound, that you've got your homeowner's insurance and flood insurance on the property if you need that on the property before closing. And then own it. The keys are going to get turned over. It's going to become yours. I just want to show you a couple more things about our local Keller Williams office here. We do sell more property in the South Shore area than any other company. We are #1 in America, #1 in Tampa Bay, and #1 in the South Shore. And that's important to you because we've got the experience. We've got, like I said, the listings that we will really be able to help you find the home that you need. A little bit more about us and Keller Williams in general. Our belief system, we just really care about the customers. I personally care about my customers, and I think that, you mentioned when we talked on the phone that you had looked me up on Zillow after your friend your sister's friend recommended me, and you saw some of my customer reviews, and that, kind of made you more comfortable giving me a call. It's really important to me to serve my customers well, to keep their best interests at heart, and to help them have an easy and smooth transaction. We also give back here in our office. We gave $57,000 back in 2018. This slide needs to be updated. In 2019, we gave back over $58,000 to our local community and different charitable organizations that we support here in our office. So that's really it for this part of the presentation. Did you have any questions about that, Buff?
No, I think you covered everything I had a question about, plus a whole lot more.
Awesome. Great. Great. Well, I hope I'm not overwhelming you, but I feel like it's important to get it out there up front. If it's okay with you, I've got one more thing I'd like to share.
Sure.
And this really kind of reviews what we've already talked about. This is our buyer broker acknowledgement. And it just says that as your real estate consultant, I'm going to work proactively for you to help you find your new home, to negotiate on your behalf, and to manage the contract process through closing to ensure a smooth transaction. And we're doing this by accomplishing it by doing a needs analysis, which is what we're doing today. We're going to do the home search. My market expertise, I've been in this business for 10 years. I know the area really, really well. And so I think I'll be able to do a great job at helping you find what you're looking for. And then negotiating, right? So I've spent a lot of time on transactions negotiating. I actually took the certified negotiation expert course and the master course. So I've been trained in negotiations because what I want to do is get the best deal for you. We want it to be a win-win, of course. But I really want to help you to make sure that you're paying the right amount for your home, getting a good value, and at the same time, making an offer that's going to get you the home that you want. We manage the transaction through all the different contingencies. And as I mentioned before, as your advocate, I'm able to represent you on many different types of purchases, on new home construction, resale properties that are listed in the MLS, and homes being sold by owner. And so what I would ask, Buff, is that for the very best results, that if you do see a for sale by owner, or a sign in somebody's yard that their home is for sale, or even thinking about new construction, especially as you're driving around on a Saturday morning, you see those little flags waving out in the, with the new construction waving out on the corner of the street, and you want to turn in there and just go look at those model homes. I would really just ask that you let me make the first connection with sellers and with builders. And that if you do decide that you want to see a property, that you allow me to schedule those showings so that I can build that rapport with them and also still be able to represent you. And that I can also help you through the negotiations on that when you make an offer. In Florida, I act as a transaction broker, which means that I will deal with you honestly and fairly. I will account for all funds. I will use skill, care, and diligence in the transaction. I will disclose any known facts that materially affect the value of the property that I am aware of. I will present all offers and counter offers in a timely manner. I owe you limited confidentiality, and any other duties that we mutually agree on, I'll take care of for you in this process. And Buff, one of the best things for you as a buyer is that there's no fee for my services. It's customary in our area for the seller to pay for the commission, and so they compensate. I get compensated from that commission that they have agreed to pay. So it'll be no fee for you. So I really, Buff, I just want to, I'm really, really looking forward to helping you to achieve your goals, to find the home that you're ready to move into. And so if you would just sign here that you got this acknowledgement, I'd appreciate that, and I'll sign it as well.
Sure.
Thank you. Awesome. Love that. Okay, Buff, and just kind of to finish up here, there are a few things now that we've agreed that we're going to work together, that I'm going to help you find your new home. A few things I want to go back and start digging in on now. I'm going to start the home search for you, right? And at the same time, I'm going to give you the recommendations for some mortgage lenders that you can speak with, so you can start getting in touch with them. And I do want to look a little bit now more specifically at your criteria. So Buff, you told me that you want a 4-bedroom home with 2 or 3 bathrooms, pool in Riverview at $250, and you can't have that. No, I'm sorry, Buff. I'm going to show you here on the screen. I'm going to send you some listings of properties in the Riverview area with the size home you're looking for. You won't find that in the age and all. You won't find that for $240 or less. If you had to change your criteria, if you had to give something up, what would you be willing to give up? Could you go up higher on the price?
I doubt it.
No. Okay.
No, I don't think so.
What about the size of the home?
I mean, I guess I could go smaller.
Okay.
Probably even do with maybe 3 bedrooms.
Okay.
I really wanted to have an extra room for an office or playroom, but if I had to, I would that's probably what I would be willing to give up.
Okay, you give a bedroom. What about the pool, Buff?
No, no,
No?
I don't know. I don't know.
I really think that's going to be your biggest challenge through this is finding a pool home at that price point in
Really?
Riverview. But we'll look. I will do my very best. I will try to find that for you. If not, if the pool is really important to you, would you be willing to look at other areas besides Riverview that you may be able to find something at a lower price point?
Maybe.
Okay,
Too far,
great.
not too far out of there, but maybe in the general area.
Okay, well, I'm going to start my search. I'm also going to reach out. You remember I mentioned that we have a lot of agents in Keller Williams, but we also have the brokerage that sells the most homes here in the local South Shore area. So one of the first things I'm going to do is reach out to the agents in my office and see if any of them have any homes that would meet your criteria.
Okay.
And maybe even something that hasn't come on the market yet, they know it's going to come on in the next week or two, and that we can maybe be the first ones to get in and look at it after it's listed. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Great. Well, I'll start sending you some listings to review. I'll tell you if I think any of them are really great, hot, properties that you really need to go take a look at. You tell me as well. We're going to keep the lines of communication open, and we may find along the way that we need to switch up your criteria a little bit, and we'll do that. Okay, so don't be afraid to let me know if we're looking at stuff and you go, nope, just can't take that. That's not going to work. Got to have the 4 bedrooms, but I'm willing to give on something else. Sound good?
Okay. Yes.
Awesome. Buff, I am really looking forward to working with you. This is super exciting for me, and I know it's exciting for you. One more thing we need to talk about is selling your home.
Okay.
So I know you mentioned you need to sell it before you can buy the new home. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay, good. So as you can imagine, if you need to sell your home first, then you need to have your house on the market and under contract before you put a contract on another property. Does that make sense?
Okay. Wasn't expecting that, but okay.
Sure. I get a lot of buyers that say that aren't, but you want to get your home sold so that you can use the funds from that and qualify for a mortgage to purchase the new home. So why don't we do this? Do you have time this week, maybe even tomorrow, that I could come by and see your home and take a look at it, and then I can give you a good estimate of what it might be worth, and we can talk about getting it listed right away so we can help you move on to the new place.
Sure.
Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. How's tomorrow at 10? Are you available then?
Yeah, I can do that.
Perfect. Great. And your husband will be there too?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Great. Well, I'll see you both there, and we'll just, get this done and move on as quickly as we can.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Buff. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Chime in, ask questions, make comments. This is kind of strange to do it on Zoom. I've not done a buyer consultation on Zoom before. I talk so pretty, Doreen. That's funny. I can't stand to hear myself talk, Doreen.
Do we have this material in Spanish for our, specifically the one they signed, because the other you can just go over it and explain to them in Spanish, but.
Okay.
And do you give a copy to them of it, or you just keep it yourself?
Awesome. Great questions. So some of the state forms are available in Spanish, and you probably are aware of those, right? Like purchase contract. You don't actually execute that contract, but you use that for them to translate from. The form that I was using, the buyer broker acknowledgement, it is not a legally binding form. Okay. In the state of Florida, if you're going to sell somebody's home, you have to have some kind of written listing agreement. You have to have a contract so that they will pay you a commission or pay the brokerage a commission. You do not have to have a written buyer agreement. You should, and you guys can raise hands or whatever. How many people are actually using a written buyer agreement?
In 14 years, I have not once.
Yeah.
Not once.
That's what happens, right? Because you don't have to. And if you look at the Florida buyer agreement, that's actually stronger. My understanding is it's really not enforceable. And what it does in the Florida buyer broker agreement, it says that the buyer will pay the brokerage money, a commission, for services. And we know that in Florida, that generally doesn't happen. Now, you could use it, for instance, if you had a buyer that wanted to buy a for sale by owner, and the for sale by owner does not want to pay a commission, I have seen buyers say, that's okay, I still want your help with this transaction and I will pay the commission. And so then you would use that basically as a commission agreement from the buyer. And you're right, I don't see it used a whole lot. It'd be great if it was. The one that I showed you is I call it a buyer broker acknowledgement because it's not really a legally binding agreement. It does a couple of things. Even if you didn't go through the whole conversation, through the whole consultation, you could use that one form and it's got pretty much all the information on there, right? About what you're going to do for them. It's a loyalty agreement. This is what I'm going to do for you. In return, you're going to let me know if you want to see any properties before you go to a seller, before you go to a new construction, before you go talk to a for sale by owner. So it lets you have that conversation up front to set expectations. Doreen, I would love it if you want to translate that to Spanish. That's only one document. I'm going to. If you want to translate it and we could share that with some of our other agents, that would be beautiful.
Okay.
I would love it. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry.
Once they sign and let's say they walk, I mean, does it hold any waters on how long now?
No, because the only way you hold anybody to anything is if there's money involved.
Right.
So if they sign something that says they owe you money if they do something, then if they are compliant and honest, then they might pay you that money, but otherwise you have to go after it and you'd have to sue them. And my understanding is that it is very difficult to enforce any kind of buyer agreement.
So where can we download it from?
From the one we just showed you, the one I just showed you, that version. Right. So the Florida one, if anybody wants to look at the Florida one.
I've used the Florida one,
okay.
With FISBOs.
This one, we will post it in the Google Drive where all the we're starting to put all the agent resources there so you can go grab these things. We'll put the buyer consultation in there. We'll make sure we got I think I didn't pull the most updated version because it had the 2018 charitable stuff in there, but we'll make sure we get that updated. We'll put the buyer consultation in there. We'll put the listing presentation in there. And we actually have the PowerPoint versions of both of those so they can be modified and customized. You could add your contact information on. And you may not use, just FYI, especially for some of the newer agents that are on here, you may not use that exact buyer consultation. That's okay. You can come up with your own. We're just trying to give you some ideas of what you might want to have conversation with buyers about.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am, Miss Cindy.
A couple of times, because I'm dealing with buyers through the lead generation on George's team, and a couple of occasions when I've asked clients about their budget, a couple of different instances, they would not be able to give me a number, but come up with like a monthly payment,
right?
What we want to go over. So how do I translate that into a budget?
Sure. So that's one of the reasons I would send them to a mortgage lender right away. If they're worried about payments, they're getting a mortgage, right? They're cash buyers. They don't care about payments. So that means they're getting a mortgage. So I'd get them to a mortgage lender right away. And that's a discussion for them to have. Now, is it good information or knowledge for you to have as well? Yes. There are mortgage calculators all over the internet. Nice ring, Judy. You went like this, and so I saw your nice big diamond there. The mortgage lender will be like the first best resource for them. You could also pull up a mortgage calculator or maybe have one handy that shows what different payments look like. But remember, there's other things that are going to affect that, the property taxes, the CDDs, and you can't know for sure.
Yeah, what their interest
rate. You start looking at those. If they're in Kings Point, they're going to have a almost $500 a month condo fee that's going to, add on to that. That's really going to reduce their purchasing power as far as the purchase price itself of the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
What other questions do we have? Or comments? Judy, unmute yourself and tell me what else you would ask. So you want to make it specific to what they're looking for too, right? Like Judy's in Kings Point. If you're going to show them Kings Point, you're going to give a lot more information about that specific area.
That fee of $500 is not more than everywhere else.
Right.
What's included in the fee, that your internet is included in the fee, and and use the amenities and all of that stuff. You obviously wouldn't need to have a pool because you can't have one here. But there's 6 pools for you to use. So all of those sort of things that you can talk about. Yeah.
Right.
But mainly about what's included in the fee, which is large. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, other than that, we don't need to talk about schools because they can't have schools here. And other than that, it's exactly what you said, right? What's on that presentation. So
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you really want to know what your buyer's looking for and know that market, right? Or go find
Yeah,
out. You can't know everything, but you're going to go find out by the time you're working. You know what you got to go study that night, right?
And you need to have them understand the difference between Kings Point and Sun City Center. You know, what are they, if they're looking for a single family home, it's probably not Kings Point. And why do they want a single family home and that kind of stuff?
Right.
Because when they think condo, they're thinking of a high rise, and which is not Kings Point. So, you know, all of those sort of things, I guess. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. What else do you think that you could include in a buyer consultation or might be important? Cindy, you've gone out with a lot of buyers now.
I have. And I took the buyer questionnaire that you just showed and I kind of made my own
Okay.
based on, and I was just trying to find a copy of it. So, yeah, let's see. Is there anything on here that you didn't go over?
Oh, there could be.
Well, I like to ask them about pets because especially if I'm selling in Kings Point, it's a concern. You know, one of my deals, we had to cancel and go get a different house because she had pets and the house that she liked won't take them. So that's one of the things I added to my list.
Yeah, that's super important, right? Especially if you're that's why it's really important to know your market and your area. And you know, Judy was talking about Kings Point and Sun City Center, and there's huge differences, right? And whether they allow pets, they don't allow pets, what size they are, how many you can have. Yeah.
And in every area in Kings Point, you really could have a pet if your doctor is willing to sign the form for the American with Disabilities Act.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have a pet. Actually, the person who lived in the house that Cindy was talking about that they walked away from did have a pet because he couldn't hear, and the pet would tell him when somebody rang his doorbell.
Right.
Yeah, my client though was not able to get that document signed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Are you kidding me? Why won't you sign
seems
it?
like they outsign them for anything now.
Yeah.
Well, her doctor wouldn't sign it. So.
Oh well.
So
I got a handicap.
I
got a permanent handicap thing from my doctor. He doesn't care. He just signs anything you bring there. Yeah. But yes, you're right. Some people don't want to bring a pet into a non-pet area because they think that their pet would be the only pet and be a stigma, which that is not the truth.
Yeah.
And I go into this too. I live in a no pet area. There's 92 homes here, and at least 75% of the homes have a pet.
Wow.
So, you know, you have to kind of, because I live here, I know that stuff where other agents might not. So, and I'm happy to share that.
That's why I asked Judy anything I want to know about.
Why I called Judy.
That's awesome. I'm going to try to find real quick if I can never figure out how to get my Google Drive in order, but I should. Shared with me.
While you're looking for that, Kathy, can I put in a plug real quick?
Please.
We were talking about using that buyer presentation that you'll put in the Google Drive. You might also consider looking at the buyer presentation that is in Command in the designs section. They have a template that you can use that has, it's a very kind of clean, sleek look to it. And it might be worthwhile looking at to see if you think that's something you'd like to personalize for your own use as well.
This is totally not buyer presentation, But could we have a class about what exactly is available in command? That's not just compliance related. I mean, everybody kind of knows about compliance related stuff, and they're kind of overwhelmed with getting the compliance part done. And there's so many other things like your website and the individual websites and that buyer presentation and all of these things that might be good for people. Yeah.
It's funny you should mention that, because we're in the process right now of scheduling a guest speaker to give us a class, a Zoom class on the marketing pieces in command, including the website, the design templates, campaigns, smart plans, things like that. So look for updates about that. That's coming out soon. Donnie Brookman is our regional tech trainer, and he's going to join us for to show us those things.
Oh, wonderful. Great.
And I think we've talked about too, about, he's going to come talk to us about the marketing side, but also just taking these pieces now that everybody's kind of getting a little bit more comfortable with command, and take the pieces and show you, like, short ones, how to run a Facebook ad if you want to do that, right? Where to find the things to set up your website. And because I think we do too much, it's so big. And sometimes we say, look at all this stuff it can do. And it's like, where do I start, right? So.
Kathy, as far as the KW app that I always use to send, share with my buyers or sellers to look, wherever you're standing, you just go to the app and it shows you what's available for rent or sale. We don't use that anymore. Is there a new one with the command?
No, it's the same. They actually did update the app and created a new one, but it already took the place, should have taken the place of your old one. Just open it up on your phone and see, it'll look different to you.
Okay.
Than it did before, so
Okay.
it should already be there.
Okay.
If you have any trouble with it though, let us know.
Thank you.
But it's because it comes up when you log into command that you need to do something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I haven't tried, but there's some sort of acknowledgement there when you log into command that it's there.
Judy, I'm so afraid of command. You have no idea.
It's really not that hard.
I praise God for Buff because she always comes to the rescue.
She comes to my rescue too. I'm like, Buff, how do I do? Yeah. Well, good. Any more questions? Oh, if you look in the chat box, I put the link for the Google Drive. If you just copy that and you can paste it into the search bar. So if you copy it and paste it, you put it in there, and then that will give you access. A lot of the documents are already in there, but we're going to keep adding stuff like the buyer consultation, the listing presentation, the buyer broker agreement. We'll keep adding those things in there. Okay. What we'll do, Doreen, we will send you the Word version so it's editable. And that way, if you want to, well, I don't know if it's going to help you to edit it. It doesn't really matter, because if you're going to type it, if you're going to translate it to Spanish, you're not going to do it on that same paper. You're going to retype
Unless
it.
you want to use the same font or whatever, format.
Well, if you want to, we'll send it to you. If you want to do it that way, you can. That'd be great. Whichever way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
We'll send you both. We'll send you that version. But everybody else, the PDF version of that will be in.
So I clicked on the link now and I'm into the drive.
Okay.
How do I get it to go away? So I can see you now. I'm in again.
Oh, you probably have more than one thing open at a time. Are you on your iPad?
Yeah.
Try swiping one way or another.
No.
Okay, on your iPad, okay, double click your round button at the bottom. Your little touch button. Double click. Does that bring all your different
Now I'm back to the home page again.
Okay, but if you double click it, it should show your open apps.
Oh, okay, got it.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Judy's got a new iPad.
Yes.
That's exciting. All right. Well, I thank everybody for joining us for this. Oh, you're muted, Cindy. Were you saying something?
Yeah.
Nope, you're muted again. I think you hit it twice. There you go.
I said thank you for having it.
You're quite welcome. I hope it
And
was
I will
helpful.
be tuning in on Friday for the listing.
Yeah,
presentation.
Friday we'll do the listing presentation.
Yeah.
We'll
I'm
be
looking
there,
forward
Lord
to that.
willing. Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Amen.
Great.
Thank
Any
you.
suggestions you have for changes? Like I said, I've never done this on Zoom, so it's a little weird because I'm not really looking at Buff very well. I'm trying to look at the documents and you can't see both of us, so it's a little awkward. But if you have suggestions for anything that I do or, you know, the presentations or anything, I'm happy to receive those.
On another note, it's nothing to do with this. I watched All Rise on Monday night. It's a TV show, an
Okay.
hour-long TV show, and they were doing a Zoom. They were doing a Zoom in court,
Uh-huh.
and the whole thing was Zoom. It was hysterical. And
Wow.
even if you don't watch that show, you should go back to the on-demand and look at it because some of the funny stuff that happened, it was funny.
All Rise or A Rise?
All Rise, yeah,
All
it's All
Rise.
Rise. It's on a regular channel like NBC
Okay.
or CBS, and yeah.
Look it up.
Yeah, I mean, their whole personal life was in the Zoom video. It was quite funny.
Our new world.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, offices are open if you guys want to come by and say hi.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.